Hey, welcome to the Enhancing Clinical Practice and Outcomes stream of the SNOMED CT Expo 2023. My name's Ian Green. I'm the Customer Relations Lead for Europe and also the Global Clinical Engagement Lead, and I'll be moderating today's session. Lance will take all questions at the conclusion of the presentation. If you're online, please use the Q&A button, which is at the bottom of your screens, and I'll ask the questions on your behalf. We'll get those answered for you. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Park from Seoul National University and Jane Millar from SNOMED International, and they'll be presenting on ICNP and SNOMED CT and supporting nurses in the EHR. So Dr. Park, Jane, please go ahead.
Thank you for your introduction. I'm Dr. Park from Seoul, Korea. I am a member of ICNP editorial board. I'm making presentation on behalf of ICNP editorial board. And Jane Millar from SNOMED International will be joining me in presenting ICNP and SNOMED CT supporting nurses using EHR. I wear two hats, so I've been involved with ICNP activities since I think 1995, and then I also been doing a lot of work around SNOMED CT since 2007, before IHD-SDO was established. These are topics two of us will cover, and I'll cover first two topics: background to ICNP, and then who is managing ongoing development and maintenance of ICNP and SNOMED CT. Jane Millar will cover the rest two topics: why include ICNP and SNOMED CT? What are the benefits of nurses using ICNP? So why do we need a nursing terminology such as ICNP? I am going to emphasize that by introducing two famous quotes, one from Nightingale and another one from Clark and Lang. I think most of you seen these quotes. So in attempting to arrive at the truth, I have applied everywhere for information, but in scarcely an instance have I been able to obtain hospital record fit for any purposes of comparison. I think here Nightingale really emphasized the importance of a recording. If we cannot name it, we cannot control it, practice it, teach it, finance it, or put it into public policy. I think Clark and Lang really here empathized knowing what we record, which is a terminology. So now I'm going to talk about the ICNP. What is ICNP? It is a product and also a program of the International Council of Nurses. It is a standard terminology that supports nursing practice and patient care worldwide. ICNP has both interface terminology and reference terminology properties. As interface terminology, it facilitates use at the point of care. As a reference terminology, it facilitates secondary use of data and harmonization with other terminologies within nursing or outside of nursing. And ICNP is translated into 19 different languages. So Korea is one of them, and Norwegian is one of them, I think. Now I would like to introduce brief history of ICNP. Actually, the idea of international classification of nursing practice was introduced at ICN conference held in Korea in 1989. So it has a lot of meaning to me. And then ICNP Alpha version introduced in 1995. Alpha version has only list of terms. And then with the Veda versions, ICNP has two classifications. One nursing phenomena classification, which is used for describe patient problems. Another one was nursing activity classification, used to describe what nurses did to solve patient problems. When it moved to version 1, those two classifications were merged into one 7-axis model. In 2008, ICNP joined WHO family of international classification. When ICNP version 2 was published, the nursing diagnosis and the nursing intervention catalogs were introduced. Those catalogs were populated by combining concepts from 7-axis model. In 2020, part of nursing intervention catalogs and nursing diagnosis catalogs were integrated into SNOMED CT and then released as ICNP reference set in 2021. So this is ICNP 7-axis model and the catalogs. On the left side, you see 7-axis model with the focus, judgment, means, action, time. One of the clients should be location and client. And then nursing catalogs are, as I mentioned already, populated by using concept from 7-axis model. So part of these catalogs are integrated into SNOMED CT. Why do I mean by part? As long as these catalogs have equivalent concept in SNOMED CT, that's integrated into ICNP reference set. Let me have some thought. ICN has a lot of collaborative activities with various organizations ranging from national news associations on the issue of health at the government level and ICNP research development centers. There are 14 ICNP development and research centers worldwide. And of course, technology and standard development organization bodies such as WHO and SNOMED International. Now, I would like to talk about who's managing the ongoing development and maintenance of ICNP in SNOMED CT. It's not moving.
We lost network for a second.
Okay. At the organizational level, ICN is really committed to development of ICNP. So ICN realized the importance of nursing data, and so they really wanted to bring the ICNP-related works into mainstream of ICN policy work. With strong support from ICN, ICNP plays a very important role in increasing visibility and awareness of nursing contribution to population health. At the working level, ICNP editorial board really leading the development and maintenance of ICNP. ICNP editorial board is a governing body within ICN, and the members are coming from 14 ICN accredited ICNP research and development centers, and you see the list of ICNP R&D centers. I want to specifically go over what are the roles of ICNP editorial board. So as a body representing ICN board, we maintain and manage the integrity of ICNP. How do we do that? We receive requests, content requests from members. Once we receive content requests, we will review the request to see if they are appropriate. If we think it's appropriate, we submit those requests to SNOMED International. And the request could be asking to add new concept or description to ICNP reference set, to delete concept or description from the ICNP reference set, to revise concept or description within the ICNP reference set. And in addition to that, we try to identify SNOMED concept relevant to nursing and try to include them into ICNP reference set. We also have a responsibility of assuring quality of ICNP reference set, and also we do facilitate implementation and use of ICNP throughout the world. And now I would like to talk about future work of editorial board. We would like to promote use of ICNP worldwide by facilitating adoption of ICNP. We would like to strengthen ICNP R&D centers activity. We also would like to collaborate with the national nursing bodies. And we would like to advocate for use of ICNP in the clinical practice, administration, research, and education. We would like to increase awareness, interest, and the benefits of ICNP. We would like to improve access of ICNP. I think having ICNP reference set in SNOMED CT will definitely help the accessibility of ICNP globally. And also, we would like to expand content of ICNP reference set, by having requests from different parts of the world, especially in Norway. We also would like to include SNOMED concept relevant to nursing into ICNP reference set. Okay, with that, I would like to invite Jane to the podium. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about why ICNP and SNOMED, and then talk about some of the benefits. And these are not defined by me. They come from discussions with ICN, and particularly people like Nick Hardiker, who all of you will know. I'll have a little quote at the end from him. This has been a teamwork. And many of the things which you've asked for and want are similar to my own profession, which is physiotherapy, except we don't get heard as well as you do, believe it or not. So I'm not jealous though. So the key, there's been a sort of global demand for missing data, and Nick helped me with some of these slides, and the latest, of course, is COVID. But of course, we would be working much longer than that. And, it's the move to the EHR and trying to make sure that nurses can actually find what they need in the EHR, but then also be able to do the fancy things like the data retrieval, the aggregation and analysis, focused on their own work, and to be able to use that data in a meaningful way. And then to provide also an integrated approach to the vendors of nursing terminology. And what we're doing is one of those things. And rather than individual vendors creating maps between products, and therefore you've already got a problem because they don't have the same maps, and there we go. So it's helping vendors with solutions. And then, here it's about actually enabling the profession and those who work with the profession to quantify practice and interventions, and move on to actually measuring outcomes in a meaningful way that's helpful, that actually helps to drive practice, and also the other end of things and longer term for individuals. And then there's being nurses actually being part of the digital healthcare team, and actually being able to share that information with others within the teams, and share it in a way that everybody understands it. And I think that to me is one of the biggest things. And having a language that they can do, which can also be recognised by others, is key. Nurses don't work in isolation. None of us do. We are part of a team, and this enables whatever we do with nursing, be it just SNOMED concepts or the ICNP ref set. And I'm delighted to hear of Norway's progress with this. That's why we bother to do these things. So thank you very much, Norway, for standing up and talking about this. This is why we all work together. And there's a risk, though, that if the nurses' terminologies are not at the forefront and within systems, then they're not going to. I'm going to say they won't be heard, because nurses have many ways of being heard. But it's much more about actually having their information and their view being shared. So this. Oh no! Oh, there we are. So what we've hoped to do, and I mean, we did early work on providing reference sets for diagnosis and interventions. They weren't reference sets, actually, they were maps. And so this has really moved us a long way on by this integration. So we've got SNOMED, and more we've been trying to support integration methodologies, and this is a key one. Then it means that nurses are not constrained also by ICNP, and there's a route to identify additions, which is what we talked about today, and they can go to the editorial board. I'm happy if people just send them to me, because we're interested in them as well, but it's not us. We don't own this. ICN owns it, and I think that's been made very clear. And we will let the ICNP board have them, and then they can process them, and then we will process them. And Kathy Richardson at the back is the author, and she manages that end and works with us all. So I think that's key. So we can start. ICNP can be developed, but still support its traditional base of research and other things. The key thing we talked about is interoperability, so I've probably just jumped ahead of myself by talking. But it is about being able to use the ICNP concepts within the bigger environment, and in a way that they can be used unambiguously and understood and moved around within the systems, and shared with each other and reused. So we've got the ref set. And that is, the whole point of that is actually putting ICNP on the map. And they're representing, as you know, nursing terminology and knowledge. And that's a really good way to go. But what we're hoping is that over time, as Marta provides the solutions in Norway, that data can be reused instead of secondary collections, and be reused in the research world. And that ref set is at the moment released on an annual basis. And the next release is April next year. And that's what we've agreed with ICN. But, as requirements change, but meanwhile, it's a constant, we want to get to a point where it's a constant flow of requirements that might be for new content that isn't in SNOMED, or moving existing content into SNOMED. And really, this is what it's all about. Offering the opportunity to use standardized terminologies, but recognizing the difference between different professions. And putting it into the electronic health record, making it available. What it has done is you will see some slight changes to ICNP, because it's had to be slightly managed, and Marta gave an example of that. A combined term has been split into two. But we haven't done that. The ICNP editorial board has worked with us and within the confines of with the SNOMED model, and working on principles and making sure that everything is unambiguous, can be understood, etc., etc. And so it is slightly different. But the key thing is that by actually having what is needed in there for nursing, we can start to raise the profile, and you've got better information that other people can understand as well. I think for me now, we've got this thing out the door, and it's exciting to hear of people starting to use it. The exciting thing is to be able to start to extend that based on usage. and based on requirements and based on feedback at the clinical and the healthcare environment and patients' needs and things like that. And you know, and there's already new content that the ICNP editorial board is thinking about, as well as requirements from countries like Norway. We're going to work with the ICNP editorial board on the implementation guide. Those of you who were in the clinical session yesterday, and if you weren't, you were very naughty. We're starting to work with owners of our ref sets and other clinical products to start to put together reference guides, clinical guides, which are a mixture of clinical and technical, depending on, you know, it's about implementation. We're starting to do that. So we'll be working with the ICNP editorial board on that. And the implementation team are putting together demonstrators, which is really exciting. So, you know, so that the nursing CRG, for example, or the ICNP editorial board, they can actually start to show people these things. And I think, and I think that's the other thing. I mean, all this work has been linked to the nursing CRG, because it's to make sure that it is valid internationally and appropriate, etc. So, you know, the ICNP editor makes the decisions, but we give them feedback as well from there. So this is Nick's. I think he was negative at one point, then we thought he better be positive. Nursing has no future without informatics. Those of you who know Nick, yeah. And then on the other side, however, using structured data, informatics will help to unleash the full potential of nursing. And if we can help with that, then it's a tick in the box. Thank you.
So thank you. Dr. Park and Jane will now take questions. If you're in the room, I'll bring the microphone to you. If you're online, please use the Q&A box and I'll multitask. Hang on.
Hi, I'm Katrien and I'm working for the Belgian NRC. I found this really interesting. I'm really happy to see all these evolutions in the domain of the nursing. I'm having, the first question I'm having is, you have ICNP on the one hand and SNOMED CT at the other hand. And I heard the idea was to expand the ICNP ref set. Yes, because at this point, ICNP are only the diagnosis in it, or no, also the procedures?
Currently ICNP has, reference set has, or ICNP at ICN has nursing diagnosis and nursing interventions.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, and is it the idea to have the ICNP reference set broader than only ICNP?
Can I
have more general nursing ref sets?
It is a general nursing reference set. Okay, only difference between ICNP at ICN side and ICNP reference set at the SNOMED CT side is that as long as ICNP nursing diagnosis intervention has a semantically equivalent concept in SNOMED CT, then we bring them to ICNP reference set. If it doesn't have any semantically equivalent concept, we try to model. So that's what, okay, so I make a request form on behalf of other members of editorial board, and I sent to Kathy, and she's trying to create new concept. So if there are ICNP concept not in the ICNP reference set, we will add to ICNP reference set at the SNOMED side.
Okay, but ICNP stays the source then. Now, because in Belgium we did an analysis of all the nursing, of all the, how do I have to best say it? An analysis of, there was someone who worked in the University Hospital of Leuven, and he did an analysis of all the information that has been documented by the nurses in their electronic health records. So the diagnosis and also the procedures. And we saw a big difference between what was relevant in that what was relevant for them to register in SNOMED CT. And there was sort of, it was more than there is at this moment in the ICNP reference sets. And there was also a lot of content lacking in SNOMED CT to make its SNOMED CT covered at this point.
I think that's what Mari from Norway kind of indicated or mentioned to describe what's the gap between what they having at Norway level and ICNP reference at SNOMED CT. So we would like to have new request as much as we can so that we could have ICNP reference that relevant to clinical setting. So
Okay.
that's our aim, right?
Yeah. I would totally support that. I mean, we can't speak for nursing.
Right.
So at the moment, we're providing ICNP in electronic format for use in systems. It's up to but what as people go to implementation, that is exactly where we need to be is putting this in, because if it's key base previously has been research. Well, now it's also hoping that research can be fed from it. So as we receive that feedback, but we're not moving all the nursing content into ICNP because it's not our product. It's we produce the electronic version for ICN, and but as feedback comes in, ICNP editorial board will tell us what to do. We will do it unless Cassie says no. And there's always going to have to be discussions, and that there was a fantastic example that was given, and so we just work together.
Okay, because at this point I'm having a list of all the in our eyes lacking content in SNOMED CT